This is your host, Jason Snowgrove, and I will be your guide as we journey down the road to pleasure hunt or hitting the long trail to those great comp hunts. This is the Coonhound Collective Podcast. All right, welcome to the Coonhound Collective Podcast tonight. We got a topic we're going to talk about. And
Wait a minute.
I've got company.
Wait a minute. Listen.
Oh, here we go.
Shh. Listen. You hear me in there, Judge?
I don't hear your coat.
Listen. Right there.
You mean just tree you right there? Okay, I got you. As you can tell, I've got company tonight, so.
Hey, you invited me. You asked for this.
Yeah. Well, we got a good topic, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But been doing any hunting?
No. Have you?
Yeah. I already knew the answer to yours. You've been slacking since the Winter Classic. What happened? You went down there and now you're on vacation?
It's not a good time to hunt. I'm not hearing you very. Yeah, I can hear. Turn it up just a little. There you go.
What about now?
That's too loud. But yeah, no, it's not a good time to hunt right now.
I had a good hunt the other night.
I've got a young dog I'm kind of messing with, and there ain't no sense in setting him up for failure. So
I agree. It ain't good.
I'm waiting for it to get a little bit better.
It ain't been the best time to hunt a young one right now.
No.
But I had a good hunt the other night.
Yeah, you sure did.
Creeper looked good. First, I took him out Monday night, him and Angel, and they both treat a freaking slick in opposite direction.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong. She must be coming in heat. I didn't like her to do that.
She is a little puffy looking.
Is she? I figured she was.
So
are you going to breed her?
I don't know.
Is that still undecided?
That's undecided. We're going to have to do some figuring on.
Is that off-air discussion?
No, we can talk about it now.
No, I just wanted.
But we're going to have to do some figuring because we can't. I don't want it to. I mean, I'm still not 100% sure on English days, but my plan is to be there and for her to be there and one of us to be hunting her in that hunt that she's qualified for. So, what's that my life for?
Because you said us. One of us be
one of us. You said you didn't know what you was going to hunt.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I can take Creeper and hunt him up there.
We still got time. Yeah, that's true. You could. Yeah, we got time.
But I don't know. We'll have to do some figuring first.
I say we got time. It's kind of slipping up on me, to be honest with you.
Pretty quick.
April, May, June.
And it's the 1st of June.
Yeah. You don't get much of June. Just.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's just right there on you.
50th anniversary.
Yeah. That's one
English
reason
days.
I would like to be there. But we picked up a lot of new contracts at work, so I'm going to have to see how this goes. But I think we about got our arms around it. So.
Yeah, congrats on your win with
yeah, he looked good.
Creeper.
I have to have a dog good enough that can fix the handler's mistakes because I about give the freaking hunt away.
Sounded like you did, just about.
Yeah, he got treed in there, and the night before, which was the first time he'd been out in months, he loaded up on a tree, and in my head, I was by myself, but in my head I thought, well, I would tree him right there. And I didn't no more get that thought out of my head, and he leaves. Makes 2 barks on the ground, makes a big circle, and goes right back in there and trees. And so, when we cut them, they went about a half, and he loaded up. And so I just stood there and listened, and Garrett Miller was on the cast with me, his little Walker female come in there and loaded up. And as soon as she did it, we almost said it at the same time, because as soon as I heard her come on the tree, I went to try to tree him, but Garrett was a little faster than me, so he got first tree, and I thought, well, when we found the coon, I said, oh boy, you done good, you look good in here, you got in here and got her done quick, but I about screwed you up here, you're going to have to go tree another one to fix this. So we recut him, and man, the wind was howling, and he went over 2 ridges, probably another half a mile or better, 3/4, something like that. And he went one way. It was 3 dog casts. The other dog went basically east. One dog went west, and Creeper went south. And we them boys pretty generous, because the one boy's dog that kind of went east, he's only about 200 from us. He's the only dog we could hear opening. And we just kept easing along the edge of this pasture, I said, if we get up on top of that hill, we could probably hear all the dogs. And anyway, they was like, yeah, we can walk around there. And I said, they were pretty generous because they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But one time we were standing in the bottom, and I thought I could hear a creeper tree through there. But if the wind wasn't blowing, I'd been able to hear it, no problem. But, man, the wind blowing like a hurricane. And the other boy said, I hear something, but I can't guarantee that it's him. So we walked around.
Yep, that's me. Tree me in there.
That's what I wanted to do. But I was judging. I wanted to be fair. So we walked around, and as soon as we started up that ridge, the other boy's dog that was open, it had been hushed for a little bit. And we walked up top of that ridge, and about time he reached over and he bumped me on the shoulder and pointed towards where I thought I heard Creeper. I had heard him too. And he said, I think I hear your dog. I said, yeah, strike him. I said, matter of fact, go ahead and tree him right there. And so we walked to him, and we got in there, and them boys found my coon. I didn't even see it. They found the coon. I didn't see it till afterwards. And so now I'm playing the clock, because if the other, not the walker dog, but the other dog, we're on the leash, got to walk back.
Mm-hmm.
So if the other dog gets treated and got a coon, I'm beat by a quarter because I messed up on that first tree. And so we walked back out to the pasture, and we walked to where we last heard him. And about time I went to click the 6, we heard him open, and he was already struck in. He treated him. So now we're leash locked. And I thought, oh great.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was 6 minutes left in the hunt. So now I'm trying to hurry to get down to that tree. So, because there was another coon we walked under sitting up back at the truck, and I was going to cut Creeper straight towards the truck. And I'm trying to hurry to get to this boy's tree, because I'm thinking, if he's got a coon, I've got to get this dog cut and hope he can get down there and get that other coon tree before the time goes out. We walked in there, and it was a tree probably about that big, about the size of your leg. And I thought, well, this is going to be quick. It'll either be there or it won't. When I realized it wasn't there, I said, well, maybe we need to check that tree there or that tree there. Anyway, the time run out right there. So he done good. Had 350 plus. He should have had 400 plus. But that's
good.
Yeah, especially this time of year.
Caught a little break there too.
Yeah, I did. Because if he'd had
guys got to catch those breaks.
He'd had coon, I'd been in trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looked good.
Good.
He's either a PKC champion or he's $18 short. I don't know which one yet.
Awesome.
I got to find my papers to see what his earnings say on it.
Don't even know where your papers are.
Yeah. I got a picture of him, but it's the old ones that I had before I sold it.
Never seen anything like it.
Yeah, if somebody was wanting to buy him, that was the night for them to look at, to come watch.
Yeah.
Because he put on a show.
Yeah.
That joker got in there, and I mean, he fat and out of shape, and he ain't a dog that's usually fat. So
no, he ain't.
But yeah, he done good. And
yeah, that's good.
Angel laid in the box and took a nap, which I've been hunting her pretty hard. So seemed like every time I cut her here lately, it's half a mile or a mile before she gets treed. So I don't know what the deal was. I think she run a coon. I think she run a coon in the other night, and I don't know if she was nervous about treeing in a hole, or we got those drainage come down. It's got the rock on both sides. Well, there was some like crevices up in those rocks, and she moved around up on a tree right there. And I don't know if it was because she was nervous about being in that hole, with her head in that hole, and she just backed up on a tree or what. She run it in there good. It wasn't like her normal, if she's gonna lay something up type deal, but it sounded good, her running in there. But now Creeper was just slick. That's all there was. There was a house cat.
What?
On the ground, asleep. I thought it was dead. Asleep, 10 feet from Creeper treeing.
Really?
Curled up in a little ball, and I thought, is that a house cat? And I walked over there, and it raised his old head up like that, and looked at me, and Creeper's treeing every breath, running around the tree.
That old house cat had a rough day.
He just laid his head back down. He just laid his head back down. So,
or Creeper running about 3 or 4 circles.
Yeah, I guess so.
Got away from him. Creeper didn't know where he went.
I guess so.
Here's Coon.
Well, dang, he almost stepped on him. But yeah, that's been the extent of mine. My hunting anyway. Other than, I've already talked about it one time, but you were there, so get your opinion on it. The benefit hunt we had for Randy Stud Burton.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was a good turnout.
It was excellent. It was an excellent turnout.
Big crowd.
Big crowd, raised a lot of money, and I think everybody had a good time.
When's the last time you seen that many dogs at a coon hunt?
Oh,
It's been a long time.
yeah, it's been a long. I mean, that wasn't a big scheduled event or something, you know. It was just
just an open event.
an open event, local hunt. Yeah.
Yeah, 52 dogs.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is amazing
Yeah,
to have that many, and not be an RQE or something like that, you know.
yeah, I thought so too.
And especially in our country.
Yeah, there was guys come from a long way.
Yeah.
You should have got in on that beagle and got that beagle. You had it run around down there at Garrison.
I don't need no beagle. I had a deer tracking beagle one time, a blue tick beagle like him.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tina
He
put
was
in.
good.
Tina put in. She wanted that beagle until it went for $200 something.
Stuff went for good money over there. People,
It did.
people give from their heart, and appreciate everybody that bought something over there too and made it a go. It took everybody, you know,
I didn't.
to be a success.
I ain't never won a world hunt or super stakes or a truck or $100,000 by text you the next morning. And after being a part of that, I couldn't imagine winning that and feeling any better than I did the next morning after we got done. You know, you're just sitting there and you're thinking about that and think about, you know, the neighbor bringing the gun down and
Oh yeah.
donating it to be auctioned off and just the support that Randy had. I don't know. There may be a better feeling, and maybe I'll feel different if I ever get to that point. But
I don't know. It was pretty good.
I don't think you can top it.
I agree with you. It was awesome.
You got anything else?
Happy for no,
Okay.
no.
Well, we're fixing to dive into probably well, not probably. I know it's going to be at least a two-part, maybe more than two-part, but a multi-part subject here that is probably, if not one of the most talked about subjects on Facebook amongst coon hunters.
The most.
The dreaded dog food debate.
Let's talk about some dog food up in here.
That's what we're going to talk about, dog food.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe we're actually doing this.
It's been a long time. I mean, you look like you've been to school. You got so much paperwork up
I
there.
have been to school.
Honestly, no joke. When me and Brett first talked about putting this podcast together.
I think it was last June or July.
Yeah.
It took me that long to get you gathered up.
Oh, yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah.
This we knew was going to be a big subject, and Brett is a researcher. I'm not. I'm more off the cuff. And he wanted to get some stuff together, and I had a few people I wanted to talk to, and he's got his stuff together, a lot of it. And the last part of this, ever how many parts this is going to be, will be with Keith Dotson. He's from Extreme Dog Fuel, which is the dog food I feed. And let me say this up front. There's not one dog food company that sponsors this podcast. Nobody's putting any money in mine or Brett's pocket to say anything one way or the other. These are, Keith was a nutritionist for a dog food company and consultant. So when you hear his part, his will be from his background and what they do with his company now. And you'll hear about how Extreme come about, stuff like that.
They definitely ain't going to be wanting to sponsor us after I get done with them.
It might not. We probably won't ever have a dog food company. Matter of fact, they may try to get us off the air when Brett gets done with them. But he's got some stuff here, and we're going to just kind of talk. You know, you see everybody, you know, post on Facebook. You know, what's the best dog food? What are you feeding? What are you feeding this time of year? Should you be swapping? Should you try this? You know, if you try this, you can feed less of it. And I mean, there's just so many rabbit holes that you can run down, and we're going to try to cut something.
It's got to be the biggest debate besides coon hunting, best coon hunting light.
Yeah, I agree with that too. and I'm going to be in the market for a coon hunting light this year.
Again? How many do you need?
Well, the one's broke.
I'm telling you.
Zach has made a recommendation, and I'm doing my own research on it.
Oh boy.
And I'll tell you this: he's a Sunspot guy, 100%.
Yeah.
And he made a recommendation that was outside of Sunspot.
Really? Okay.
I don't want to say because of his business.
That's
and all,
fine.
but we may do another topic on this another time.
Surely not. Hey, we might as well.
Might as well. Hey, it ain't gonna be no worse than this.
No, it's one of the hottest topics going, besides dog food.
Yeah.
The dreaded dog food debate.
Yeah.
I really can't believe we're doing this. Are we just wasting our time? I mean, people out there listening to this, they're probably going, "Oh, here we go," and going to turn us off.
Maybe
And not listen to this podcast.
But I'm telling you, you're going to want to listen. And there may be, hey, if there, you know what? I don't agree with everything that people say. I don't agree with everything that Brett says, but heck, I don't agree with sometimes everything that I say. So,
Why do you say it?
sometimes it just slips out your mouth. I've told my kids that. And then you have to back up and say, "Whew, I was wrong on that. I'm sorry." You have to eat a little crow. But I think if you'll just listen, glean what you can glean from the conversation, and then when this is done and the part comes out with Keith, I've already heard that one. Brett hasn't yet. I'm telling you, it is packed with so much information. It's almost like drinking from a fire hose in a short period of time. And a lot of good facts and information, because this is Keith's background. This is what he does. I mean, he is a nutritionist that owns a dog food company, and he was a nutritionist first, not a dog food company owner. So when I found that out, it really kind of put a spin on my thoughts on the whole conversation.
I feel like I squashed Toad Frog right now.
Why?
Are you just blowing on Keith and stuff?
I ain't heard everything you got to say.
I'm teasing.
You got a freaking book over here. All right, where are you going to start?
We're not gonna hit on all this stuff. It's just some
We got
personal stuff.
It's still daylight out there.
It is. We got all kinds of time.
Might
And
see a turkey strut across the
You
top.
might. These
I hope
trees
we
are
don't never have to
buzzing.
walk down that hill again, though, I can tell you that. Or back up it.
If we do come down it, I hope we got feathers and a couple of legs in our hand on our back.
Me too.
Coming down
that
out there.
That was rough.
Yeah.
Y'all
Yeah,
want
if
me?
you want to come down and hunt.
No.
Yeah, Jason will take you on a coon hunt and go right over across that road right there. Send him right up that bottom. Right over there. And then I promise you, I don't care where you are at in the part of the country listening to us, I promise you, you'll really enjoy where you're at. And you'll appreciate where you coon hunt.
Did you hear Troy at Randy's benefit hunt the other night? So we were sorry guys, we'll get to the dog food in a minute. I got to tell this. So, it was right after we met, I think, and I guided the cast over here. Mm-hmm. And I was hunting my old female, you were hunting Loner.
Yeah.
Troy was hunting Chuck.
Yep.
And I don't remember the other guy's name.
Oh.
We scratched him right from the start.
I don't remember. I think he was from Oklahoma. I don't remember. It
Well,
don't matter.
Anyway, we turned loose, and I had a tracking system other than Doctor. That's all I'm going to say. And it dropped my collar. It was brand new. Dropped my collar right first got out of the bag. I was mad. So we turned loose, and they go right down here, and they tree right there on that little ledge, right here, almost in front of the house.
Yeah, I remember.
And we walked.
That was all fine and dandy.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Good walking.
Yeah, good walking. We cut loose off that, and they went about where that bulldozer trail wasn't there then. They went about where that bulldozer trail was, and Chuck and Loner dropped in that hole over there on the other side.
Yeah, I remember.
Troy Cornell does too, because when we got back to the top of that ridge after getting them dogs, and we had recut, and Chuck had went that way, and my female was that way, and Loner I think was headed that way too, and the hunt was over, and he said, "Point me in the direction to the truck, because I won't never be back here hunting." So the other night, at the benefit hunt, we put together a youth cast.
Yep.
And Troy's kid was going to hunt on the youth cast, and I said that I was going to guide. The first question out of his mouth was, he said, "Now, wait a minute. You ain't going to guide us where you took us to that RQE that night, are you?" It's pretty rough over there.
It is.
I tell you what, if you got a dog that'll tree a coon right over there, they'll tree a coon anywhere in the country.
I guarantee it. That's a fact.
It's rough. Okay,
That's a fact.
let's get back on
Well,
topic here.
back onto the dog food debate.
Yeah, where we start?
Well, I just gonna let everybody know here that before we get started that I got it all figured out on this dog food. And you don't have to search on Facebook anymore.
You about made me spit coffee all over this machine.
I know, I did it on purpose. I saw you getting ready to take a drink. That's just the opposite of what I was going to say. I've done a lot of research on dog food, and people talk about it all the time. And but anyways, I would like to say that I've got it all figured out, and I can end this dreaded dog food debate. What is it? Oh, our guest we was going to have.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I can end the dreaded dog food debate. But we're going to give you some... What are you doing over there? You got me sidetracked.
No, you go ahead and keep talking because we'll just pause it and interject him where.
Okay. Anyways, well, you're going to want to probably listen to this. And
yeah, I'll put it in there.
Yeah. Anyways, one thing that we're going to hit on is this grain-free dog food. And some stuff that I've read and looked into is this Food and Drug Administration investigated this grain-free dog food, and they highlight how hard it can be for dog owners to figure out whether they're buying a healthy product, the healthiest product for their dogs. And they have found out that there's over 500 reports of what they call canine dilated cardiomyopathy, which is heart failure.
You said a big word.
I did. I can barely pronounce it. I probably didn't even pronounce it right. But anyways, they're linking it to dog foods that are marketed grain-free.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can do your own research and look into that a little bit more. But the question that... I got an ear itch. I got to move it around there a little bit.
Okay, well, hold on for your question.
Go ahead.
Let's call Daniel real quick.
Unreal.
Find out what kind. Well, just hold your place.
Now you've thrown me
Mark
off
your
track.
place. He's ready. Mark your place.
Get him in here. I ain't hearing it coming through.
Hey, hold on just a minute, buddy. My thing didn't come through my Bluetooth for some reason. There we go. I got you now. So Daniel, me and Brett is here. We're recording, and I've called a couple of guys, and basically we're talking about the number one topic I think on Facebook amongst coon
You ain't even
hunters.
telling everybody who we're talking to. This is a famous guy.
I'm going to in just a second.
Is that dude who's... It's the guy who sucks at replying back to email.
Boy, now that is the truth. At least you're honest.
But we're talking about dog food and kind of what everybody feeds, and this is none other than Daniel Felker with the Coon Hunting Confidentials podcast. And y'all just got through recording, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's a night of podcast, I guess.
Man, I'll tell you what. Yeah, if you've never heard Daniel and them guys on their podcast, go give them a listen. They're the second best podcast out there. They're awesome. They're awesome. I got a big kick out of you guys.
Yeah, it is a good time listening to y'all. I always feel like I'm back home in Alabama when I listen to y'all.
I don't know where I feel like I'm from when I listen to them. Seems like I can go about 3 different directions.
Yeah. So,
He's recording a pretty good one.
oh, good.
I'm still hearing that. I still hear that feedback.
Really?
Can y'all hear it?
No, all I can hear is you.
I'll tell you what. Press pause on that unit and let me call you back.
Okay.
All right, so we're talking about dog food, and I thought, hey, let's call some folks and kind of see what they're feeding and why they're feeding it. So, what do you feed, Daniel?
Okay, so I pulled over when I left Dustin's house. He lives out in the country, and I pulled over at this. I'm in a Baptist church parking lot I'm talking about a very, very small country church parking lot.
Oh.
And so the reception might be going in and out. So, like I was saying, can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you good. What is it that you feed?
Okay. So for Dustin, Ryan, and myself, we all feed the Pride dog food.
Okay.
It's not Sportsman's Pride. It's the Pride out of Highland, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
During hunting season, I ran a feed store for about 5 years.
Yep.
And I fed just about everything. And for the value for the money in a 50-pound bag, I found that it hadn't let me down, or I like it. It's a quality dog food for your money.
Yep.
It's not really cheap, and it's not super expensive, and it's in a 50-pound bag. So usually the orange bag of, I think it's like a 2720, is normally what I have fed. What I've tried all of it through running a dog feed store. I have not tried the Inukshuk or the Next Level. I haven't tried any of that yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I take that back. I did buy a bag of Next Level, and I have no problem with it. But I still just find all three of us find ourselves going back to the Pride.
We've got a buddy in South Mississippi that feeds it, right? You know what David feeds?
The Pride.
Yeah, he feeds the Pride, and he really likes it too. We're just trying to get some different feedback from different people, see what everybody's feeding, and what's working for them, what they like. Brett's got a college book thick worth of research papers here that he's been doing for a year almost. That we're going to go through some different topics and stuff, and then I've already recorded it. It will be after ours airs. The next episode will be with a dog food nutritionist. So
That's cool.
Just trying to get some information out there that might be helpful, might not. People might not want to listen to it, and if they don't, that's okay. But it's a big topic that I see people talk about on Facebook all the time.
Lord, yeah, don't they?
Yeah, that they do. So, y'all doing any coon hunting?
I haven't been. Our kill season went out last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to try to make it, but I hadn't made it. And then this week has been so hectic. This has probably been the least I've coon hunted in 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
So this has been a very slack season for me.
I understand. Mine's been that way too, and just until the last couple of weeks. I've been able to get back at it, but yeah, it's been kind of slow for sure. You still got your Walker dog and your black and tan, I assume?
Yeah, I actually she come in heat a couple weeks ago, and I threw them in a pen together.
Crossbred City.
Yep, I figured I tried a couple other stud dogs, and I couldn't make it. It just didn't happen, and I was not going through that rigmarole. So I was like, you know what? I really want a puppy off of her.
Yeah.
Him, I like. He has a good mouth, trees, coons, this or that. He's 2 years old. I'm like, you know what? She's 7. I want a puppy off of her. In case something crazy happens, I threw them in the pen together and let nature take its course.
And he's off of David Gilman's stuff, right?
Yes, sir. He's off of that redneck roll, dog.
That's what I thought. Yeah. And what does Echo out of?
Oh man, you would have to ask me that. She goes back on one side. She goes back to the Dreamer dog that Mark Miller used to own.
Yep.
And I can't remember. That'd be her bottom side. Her top side, it escapes me right now. I'd have to look at the pictures.
You boys,
papers.
talking black and tan Walker dogs. You should just muted me, muted my mind.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we ain't gonna hold you up so you can get home. But real quick, before we let you go, kind of plug your podcast and where people can hear you and stuff like that. Real quick.
All right. Coon hunting confidentials. Most of all the major platforms. Well, all the major platforms, not most of them, all of them, except for, well, never mind, they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's where you can find it. I will say Spotify and Apple are the two major platforms. So
Yeah.
that'd be where I'd start out at.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you for taking time to pull over and talk to us for a minute about dog food, and I look forward to hearing your new episode.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you reaching out to us.
Appreciate it. That's
Hey,
that's the first time I've ever we ain't even laughed hardly. If I hear your voice of them other two clowns, I really get tickled. But maybe we should have got them both on here
Yeah.
with Daniel.
We was going to, but Ryan's like, I need to go, man. He was like, just speak for me. I feed pride. I was like, okay. Well, I'm going to go try to get me something to eat and feed my dogs and get ready for work in the morning.
All right, buddy. We'll have a good evening, and we'll holler at you later.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, Daniel.
Y'all be good.
You too.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, you interrupted me.
I told you to mark where you was at.
I marked where I was at, but then now you got me all off track. What were we talking about?
You want to talk about Bigfoot or something now, don't you?
Yeah, after we talked to Daniel.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just thinking about which one of these dog foods, if you fed. No wonder. I wonder if. Well, I better not go down that rabbit trail.
Yeah,
but
you better go back to your
we better
page.
get back to this. I was feeding that dog food, and then your dogs start seeing certain ghosts and stuff. We get right on that podcast quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, with them boys.
Yeah.
Anyways, we was talking about the 500 plus reports of this heart failure that they supposedly are linking to this grain-free dog food. But the question that dog owners and myself ought to be asking is why they should be even avoiding grains in the first place. Why are we avoiding grains to begin with? And while I don't know 100% where the grain-free idea started from, it did start cropping up when people started embracing these low-carb diets and these gluten-free foods and stuff.
So you think it was maybe a trendy type
I
thing?
think it was a trendy deal.
I
And
tend to agree with you. Things happen in trends.
they do, and people just follow along with that stuff. But the main thing with me is I've always wondered what made the houndsmen jump on board with this. What made the houndsmen get on board with this grain-free dog food, and what made them think, oh, okay, well, this grain-free dog food's going to be better? How was they sold on it? What was they told? What were we told? I mean...
Well, and you may cover this somewhere in Good Lord and all that, but...
Will you lay off me about my research? Anyway.
One of the things I remember hearing was, well, you got to get them away from corn because it makes them too hot.
Yeah.
And so... And it seemed like about the time I was hearing that's when...
That was the marketing hype for the coon hunters and sporting dogs, probably.
Yeah, grain-free kind of made a splash on the scene.
Yeah. And then I thought, well, maybe it was cost. Cost doesn't necessarily reflect quality. You don't always get what you pay for, but...
That's for sure.
So, anyways, before we dive into this too deep and big...
Yeah. Read your disclaimer.
I want to make something clear here right off the bat. I don't have a veterinarian degree. I don't have a degree as a pet food dietitian or anything like that. But
apologies for this interruption, but we have some breaking news.
You got a redneck degree?
I do have common sense.
Oh, okay.
And I can read.
Sometimes.
And sometimes I can read. And sometimes I can comprehend. And we all can do our own research. And just as importantly, hands-on experience. So, I've also noticed that you'll get mixed info between vets,
Yep.
and pet food nutritionalists.
Yep.
So who do we listen to? So there's a lot of confusion out here for a lot of people, and I think that's why it's always asked on Facebook is who do we trust? What's good? What's not?
Well, here's another thing.
Who's right?
I think about, why the subject. I've often, and we've talked about this. I've often wondered, why does the subject keep coming up about dog food? Well, it's me personally. It's because you have this dog food, then the formula gets changed or something gets changed. So then your dog starts looking different. So then people start hunting a different avenue, and then all of a sudden, here's new XYZ company pops up over here, and everybody, it's the rave. So then everybody moves over there and tries that and finds out it ain't all that it's made up to be.
Yeah.
They wasn't satisfied with what they have, so then they go down another rabbit hole looking for something completely different.
Yeah. And people are saying, people just be like, they'll get a product and they'll sell it to somebody else basically. Hey, I switched to this dog food. Man, my dogs are doing better than they were, and I was feeding such and such.
Yeah.
And then this guy goes and buys it.
I've got...
And that's understandably that, and that works for people too. Sometimes that happens. I mean, you put me onto the extreme.
Yeah.
And, but anybody can throw dog food in a bowl and free cast a hound and even raise a litter of puppies. But not every houndsman monitors the performance of the athlete on their lead or the mama who's giving her all in that whelping pen. Not everybody does that. Mm-hmm. And we demand so much from our hounds that I think a lot of people just need to pay a little closer attention to what we fuel our hounds with.
Yeah.
And experiment with different things to try to get the most out of them without breaking them down so easily and allowing them to recover from all this brutal exercise they go through. So I'm an individual. I do things on individual basis. And
individual dog.
Gotcha. Any animal really, but we're talking about dogs here. So, and me and you've talked about this a bunch about as far as human consumption. About I have to eat a little bit of something every 2 hours.
Good God!
I'm being serious.
Good thing we ate a bunch of Chinese before we started this.
You can. I'll need a snack in an hour.
Yeah, I know.
But anyways, so and these dogs can't talk and tell us what they need and what they don't need.
Well, and just like it's everybody's opinion, because you don't like to feed before you hunt. You like to feed after, right? Mm-hmm. And now my schedule's different than yours.
It depends on what time I'm going to be hunting.
Yeah, I know. But
I do a few things different. And I don't do every dog the same.
But with me, I like to feed early afternoon and then hunt, after dark, because I know for me, if I've went all day and haven't ate, I'm going to perform a little bit better if I got a little something in me before I have to go out there and run that 5K. Because, I've got that body to be running 5K.
Yeah, you got that 5K body. I'm going to start calling you 5K. Speaking of which.
It is different. And it's a lot of it, I think, is, people's schedule when they want to feed. A lot of people feed after they get back, from hunting. And people just feed, well, I'm going to just go out there and throw feed in, and then I'll take my dog hunting. It don't matter to them. Maybe they don't pay attention that close to it.
May not, and a lot of people may or may not do this. I know that some do, and if you've got 5 dogs out there, whether you got 10 out there or whatever, let's just say you got a guy that's got 5 or 10 dogs, and about you're feeding all of them you're feeding all of them. Some guys go through there and feed certain ones different amounts according to whether they're getting hunted or not. But then there's guys out there that they've got this cookie cutter mentality and just this blanket deal where they just give them all this certain amount of feed, every single dog there.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you have a dog that maybe you're not hunting, might get fat on you. If you feed it, you have to change it. That's why you feed an individual dog.
Yeah.
Because some are going to require more than others. Some dogs pen pace and they burn a lot of calories in the daytime. Some dogs that don't pen pace and just lay around, may not need as much if you're not hunting them. Mm-hmm. So that's how I go about it. I'm not saying that that's right or anything. And anything that I'm talking about on here, it's one of these deals that you just have to research on your own, do your own research, find out what works for you and your hounds. And maybe that's the case. Maybe there's just so many different options out there. Maybe that's why it's talked about so much.
Yeah.
But there's some things that are, I don't know. I guess it throws a kink into the market of dog food for me in my brain. But like, for example, like you get so many different opinions from vets and even someone, a dog food nutritionist or somebody like Keith and all that, and then you're going to have people, there might be a vet disagree with him. Well, who you listen to? You listen to him or you listen to the vet? Or do you listen to your buddy down the road that's had hounds for 40 years and he's fed XYZ dog food and that's just it? And it is what it is. So,
well, here's my, I guess, caveat.
Lots of opinions.
Caveat to that is, and not that I wouldn't care at all to be sponsored by a dog food company that I believed in their product. I have to believe in their product. Just like we've done a podcast with White Moaning and we talked about Tier 1 custom calls, and it's a good product. Brett can testify to it. It's a good product. But when it comes to, quote unquote, vets, when you go to the vet office, you see that dog food in there. How much of it is a kickback to them?
Oh, yeah.
And what are they pushing? Are they pushing it because it's best for the dog, or are they pushing it because it's a kickback to them? And I ain't saying they are. I'm just saying, in the back of my mind, as a small business owner, that's where my mind automatically goes to.
Mm-hmm. Well, on some of the research, I've done like so much reading that I don't know. Maybe I'm scrambled in my brain, but from doing all the reading and different things.
That's for sure.
What'd you say?
Nothing. Go ahead.
But anyways, this vet says that that grains cause allergies, and this just can be pretty. This is pretty common. Said that dogs can become allergic to certain foods if they have a genetic predisposition to develop food allergies. In a review of 7 studies, this vet found that dogs are most commonly allergic to the following foods in descending order, and the number one thing is beef. You're blinking your eyes at me. The second thing is dairy. The third thing is wheat. Fourth thing is egg, and then chicken. Yeah, it's comical.
So
ha ha ha.
What do they want? What do they want the dog to eat?
That's what I'm saying. It just because they're a vet don't mean that they got it figured out.
Yeah,
that's my point. Because I've read some stuff that's like, where in the world are you coming up with this?
Yeah,
baloney. There's just so many contradicting things out there and so-called facts and information on dog food by professionals, that people look up to. So it's like, who are we supposed to believe? Who's right? And then that answers my question. There's no wonder that there's so much confusion on the topic and why we see so many posts on social media about it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But, and it could be, and who's feeding what, blah, blah, blah.
And a lot of it's price point, because some people, they don't care.
Yeah.
And other people, they're not going to feed much more than old Roy at Walmart.
So the funny thing to this that makes this even just more bizarre to me, this vet, in her personal experience, she had previously mentioned that she's seen higher numbers of corn allergies. But then she says in descending order that most of them are allergic to beef. And it's like, what's going on up there? But anyways, some pet food companies take this approach to an extreme, formulating foods that contain more than 50% carbohydrates, and a lot of them are real low quality sources. And then these foods contain about 15% or more of crude fiber. One thing to note about fiber is, and that I've found out, is that excess fiber can dilute the energy and nutrient content of the food to such an extent that the animal will have difficulty eating enough of the food to meet its needs. We talked about that today, me and you did. And
whenever they listened to Keith's part, me and Keith, I talked to you about this.
Yeah.
Me and Keith had a conversation about micronutrients and fillers. I'm telling you, this conversation was a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big thinker when it comes to stuff like this and put a lot of thought and research into it quite like you did. But when me and Keith sat down to record, that question was rattling around in the back of my brain about these micronutrients and the importance of the dog getting the right amount. And some of the statistics and the facts that he has from verified facts that he had of previous to post is unreal. I mean, absolutely unreal, which they'll hear Keith talk about all that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what's the difference between standard and grain-free diet? The term grain, as it pertains to pet food, includes things like corn, wheat, barley, rye, and other ingredients that are the seed portions of various grasses. Grain-free diets are simply made with alternative carbohydrate sources like peas, potatoes, lentils, and other legumes in place of traditional ingredients. If you read on them bags, if you do get to reading on all them, you're going to see a lot of that these days. You're going to see a lot of the peas, lentils, potatoes, and stuff like that, and a lot of these ingredients that I don't ever remember reading them years ago, and I've always kind of been an ingredient reader, and I don't remember seeing that. So a lot of that you're going to see in a lot of grain-free diets.
See, I never was an ingredient reader. I always, especially when I was hunting 7 days a week, if the dog didn't look good, I thought, well, I'd just throw him more dog food.
Right.
And if he still didn't look good, I'd start asking questions. And matter of fact, I don't feed it anymore. I've tried it and it didn't work as good, but not saying it's a bad company. But years ago, one of the big things that really come on the scene that really put weight on the dog and slicked them up, made them look good, was black gold.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever feed that back in the day?
I never did. I never switched over to it, but there was a lot of guys here back in I remember those black gold
the original
days.
formula.
Yeah, I remember back in those days when everybody around here a lot of guys were feeding black gold.
Yeah, I mean, it really, and when you look at the dog, from what the dog looked like to what the dog looked like after you fed it for a little bit, I mean, you would say, oh man, that's great dog food. But I don't know if it was or not.
I've actually got black gold on our dog food list here.
Oh.
Look at that.
It was a good one.
Surprised you brought that up.
Yeah, well, my bad. I didn't know we went to the dog food stuff.
No, you're good. Yeah, we are. But so our grain-free diet safe? I'm going to read this word for word here, something, and just let you digest it however you want it. The big push is that these grain-free diets are safe, and that's another thing. But some may not be. Since 2018, the FDA has been investigating this potential link between these grain-free diets and a form of heart disease. And this is from an FDA website. In 2018, the FDA announced that it had begun investigative reports of this canine dilated cardiomyopathy, DCM they call it, in dogs eating certain pet foods, many labeled as grain-free, which contained a high proportion of peas, lentils, and other legume seeds, and or potatoes in various forms, which is like whole flour, protein, such, and stuff, and made ingredients listed within the first 10 ingredients on the ingredient list before vitamins and minerals. Many of these cases reported included breeds of dogs not previously known to have a genetic predisposition to the disease. Research into the nature of this relationship is still ongoing. Pet owners currently feeding or interested in starting a grain-free diet are advised to speak to their veterinarians regarding its safety and suitability for their dog. There you go. Talk to your vet and find out if it's all right or not. Well, they may be all for it. They may push them toward it. Oh, no, it's fine. It's okay. Go ahead and feed it. One of these grain-free things that really got my mind spinning, and I don't know if we're going to get to interview this guy or not and talk to him. I want to be able to get him on here. If we can get caught up with him, but he's got a lot of things going on, so I don't know if we can. I reached out to him today and I didn't get a response from him, but but anyways, a lot of things that I've read and researched, and it's always kind of made me wonder in my brain what's going on here, if there's any truth to it or not, is these shortened heat cycles or no heat cycles at all in these females, and they're saying that it's because this grain-free dog food. And I've read, I don't know how many posts and how much information on this, and I'm almost sold on it that there's something to it. So I do a lot of artificial breeding and stuff. My vet is an absolute genius, and I do believe in a lot of things that I learned and I've been told from them. So one of the things I'm going to jump into, and I'm going to mention these dog foods, but there's one term that was used on me some time ago. This is going to go along with this, with these short heat cycles or no heat cycles at all. And it's been quite a thing with people. Mm-hmm. It was been a big hot topic for quite a while, for several years. And then I think things got blamed for this, and it may very well have been the dog food. I could never confirm or deny that was the case or not. And I just thought, well, maybe I'm just lucky and I'm not having any trouble with it. So, anyways, there's a lot here. It's hard to try to get all this on this podcast to where people can understand what I'm getting at. And sometimes it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to explain a lot of this stuff. I'm just not smart enough probably, but, one thing that I had one issue. I finally had an issue come up, and I can't remember. It was heat cycles, is what it was, and then I had a missed heat cycle. So as I got to talking to my vet, he was like, "Well, you need to bring her in, and we need to do some tests on her and check this and check that." And he said, "What kind of dog food are you feeding?" And I told him.
Was that one of his first questions?
It was like, you could tell it was pretty important to him. And so he said, it may be the phytoestrogens.
I know when you first said this word to me months ago, I thought he has went off the deep end.
Yeah, and maybe I have. Maybe I'm digging into a
No,
hole.
because I asked Keith.
Okay, so anyways, so phytoestrogens, I mean, you could, everybody listening to this, you can do your own research, and but the more that I thought this gentleman that I want to get on the phone, I've got some information here, and I don't really have it. It would probably be better if we just had him on here and explained all this, because I've got it in written form, some things that he's done when he switched dog food, and just these happenstances of his own females and personal hands-on experience, and has figured this stuff out. But anyways, I'd never heard of this word my entire life. I've never heard coon hunters say this word, nothing about it. A phytoestrogen is an estrogen-like compound occurring naturally in plants of the legume family. Peas, lentils, all beans, including soybean, and in grains, vegetables, and fruits. Phytoestrogens are believed to be endocrine disruptors. In the instance of phytoestrogens, they mimic or interfere with estrogen produced in the body by binding to estrogen receptors. This could lead to delaying puberty and infertility. Endocrine disruptors have also been linked to developmental problems, autoimmune diseases, and some neurodegenerative diseases, and this is just what we know now. Plus getting trace amounts of phytoestrogens through mixed tocopherols, a popular preservative in commercial pet foods. Now, you can get your dog food bags out and you can read on them, and we're going to go over some of these ingredients on some of these dog foods, and I've highlighted them. So these tocopherols, the phytoestrogen levels found in soy compared to other foods are just off the charts. One study found a direct link between genistein and decreased sexual hormone activity in dogs. Another downer, soy inhibits the effects of thyroid, and I don't even know what this other word is, but it disrupts normal thyroid function and can possibly enhance estrogen-dependent breast cancer. They're also getting trace amounts of phytoestrogens through these mixed tocopherols, which is this popular preservative in commercial pet foods, and it's in bukus of them. And while almost all dog foods I've researched, they contain these phytoestrogens, and some contain a whole lot more than others. but the exact amount in each one, nobody knows.
That's what I was going to say. I pulled up an ingredient list here.
Nobody knows.
And I think one of the things Keith talked about when we, and I don't remember the conversation exactly, so everybody just had to listen to the other part, but was in some of those things are put in there for certain things, fibers or whatever, like a roughage, I guess is the best way I would be able to describe it. And we read through there and we go, oh my God, this one's got 10 phytoestrogens in the ingredients. But what percentage is that? Is it, you got 100%, total there for the bag.
Yep.
Is it 1%, 25%? That's what we don't know.
Yeah, and some of this stuff that we're talking about, I'm sure there's some people listening going, boy, they're butchering this thing up. But I can tell you one thing. I bet you I've got people thinking about this right here.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
And I'm not done. So you got soybeans and soy products, linseed, which is flax, sesame seeds, wheat berries, oats and barley. Almost all your beans are a legume, lentils, yams, rice, carrots, wheat germ, rice bran, spinach yeast, alfalfa, grain sorghum. Lupin bean, which is a legume. Look, go back and listen to this, of all these that I've read. Get your dog food back out, read on it. If you got a dog missing heats, any infertility deals, it may be something to it. Maybe not. I've got my opinions on this stuff. I'm going to read something. This is an unknown. I'm not going to say the person on here, but it's an unknown dog breeder. Several people were suggesting that dog foods that contain pea products, peas, lentils, and or flax had high enough levels of phytoestrogens that they were having difficulties having their female dogs get pregnant. Mm-hmm. Okay? So then they go back to their Purina quality dog food, and their dogs were fine. Now I give Purina a big kudos there, but that's just what this person says. Now, I am going to hit on that in a little bit on this Purina deal. Okay. And I'm not giving them props or anything. I'm just telling you, huh?
Okay.
Okay. And then this other person says, I'm currently feeding brand X, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to breed my girls this season and would like the best outcome. I've also heard that flax and peas are bad for reproduction, and the brand I'm feeding has peas in it. It's a ways down the list, but I'm not sure if I should switch. It's hard to find a good feed without peas or flaxseed.
Gotcha.
Peas are a phytoestrogen, but they have lower amounts compared to soybean. Okay? Flax seeds and lentils. I've fed Bread X for years and have not had a problem, but it does make me concerned that most grain-free foods seem to have more phytoestrogens, and I'm not sure how much is too much. One person says, I've been feeding Brand X to my dogs for about 2 years. All of my breeding females have stopped getting pregnant.
Hey, are you saying Brand X on purpose? Because
no,
we're not sponsored. You can say what you want to. They can't shut us down. I pay for this.
No.
Okay.
I began doing, all my females stopped getting pregnant. No, because we're going to mention some dog foods in a minute.
Okay.
I began doing progesterone. I don't want to just throw out one on this particular deal and make somebody
mad
or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care about making somebody mad. They'll be mad before this is over.
You can make me
Says
mad.
I began.
You don't care.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Says I've begun doing progesterone testing and AIs in an attempt to turn things around. Today was another big disappointment. Not pregnant again. I asked the vet what it could possibly be, and she said she had recently read that peas could be the culprit. I hurried home to read the ingredients and found all three of the brands of recipes that I'm feeding contain peas, pea protein, and pea flour. I have two breeder friends feeding the same brand of dog food and are having the same problems. Okay, so this is common sense stuff, hands-on, that all different people are having the same issues with. I have another breeder friend who is feeding something else, and her dogs do not have fertility issues. I checked the ingredients on her feed and found no peas of any kind. So now that makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That makes you really go, wait a minute, there might be something to this. And I can't tell you how many posts on different sites that I've read where people have been talking about this and having this and switching, and dogs go back to acting right. So it leads me to believe that there's something to it. I mean, why would it not? Anybody that could read all that is gonna go, there's something to this. So,
and all this research come off the Google.
we ain't got time to tell you where I got all this research from. Some of this was from coon hunters. Matter of fact, these are coon hunters.
Okay.
All right. They said, I believe there is a correlation between the peas and their infertility. And I think they're right. It has been a costly and disappointing experience, and now I'm switching to my dog food. Another person, now this person is not a houndsman, and I'm going to tell you what they are feeding because they mentioned it. I've been feeding Diamond high energy for about 2 years. All of a sudden, my female had 2 small litters. One was 5 and the second was 4. Now, it's easy to throw blame on different things. We've got so many variables in how many pups and how many pups a female has. Age, it could be the male, it may not be the female. But anyways, prior to Diamond, she had large litters, 11 and 12. I also noticed her heat cycle changed like a month early or late. To me, that didn't make a big deal. I started researching, and I did find that it could be a low sperm or low estrogen count. So then my other female I pulled out of the pen so she would not be bred on her first heat. A few days later, she started her heat. 4 weeks later, I put her back in the pen. Almost a month after, she looked like she was coming into heat again. So I started watching her daily. A week later, she has a pup. I'm stumped at this point as she only had one, a singleton birth. I'm still trying to figure out how she got pregnant, like a divine intervention. So then I tried researching again. Nothing that made sense. So I researched singleton births, and then the phytoestrogens came up.
Well, I know how a dog got pregnant. I think one way that happens, but
yeah,
I don't know if we need to get into that on this podcast.
We better not go down on that.
Okay.
Go down the road on that. These phytoestrogens are screwing with the reproductive system. I have free choice, so my dogs are getting slammed with this crap. I wrote Diamond about it, and I never got a response. I lost well over $30,000 over this escapade of theirs. Why are they putting phytoestrogens in our dog food now? Something to think about. Well, I think I can figure that out. They are trying to put breeders out of business as they are pushing for you to adopt. Anyway, the peas they are putting in the dog food, I believe, are natural contraceptives.
Okay, so this person...
Now, that's pretty hardcore.
This person is hardcore enough to say that they think it's almost a political move to put this in there to stop breeders, so you would have to adopt from shelters.
And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say that I agree with her to some point.
Yeah, I knew you was going to.
And I can tell you one other thing. Everybody listen to this that has a vet and goes to the vet, and if you get with a buddy in a different place and go, hey, who's your vet? I want to go start going to your vet. And you start going to that vet anonymously, and they don't know if you was to do this. And I'll guarantee you that, I guarantee, my guess is, and I'm just going to say 75%, but I bet it's even higher than that. 75 to probably 90% of the vet offices in this country are going to want you to spay or neuter your dog. They don't give a crap about what you're there for to begin with. The first thing they're wanting to do is the big push for you to spay and neuter your dog. And if people ain't spaying and neutering their dogs, and they're breeding them, my vet is a reproductive vet. That is a reproductive vet office. They want, that's their business.
Yeah.
And I have never once ever told that I need to spay or neuter my dog. And so, yeah, I do kind of believe with where she's going with that.
I could probably see it.
And if you live, and if you're alive now and you're listening to this, and after everything that's went down in our government and all the things would you be shocked?
No.
I mean, I'm not shocked a bit. And it is not far-fetched.
Yeah.
That is not far-fetched. From everything that we've seen go on and that we've heard and all the things that's going on this day and time, that ain't far-fetched. So
I don't know
that'll make some people mad.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with it with all that 100%, but I agree with it. It ain't far fetched for them
to throw stuff in our feed, and
money feeds their pockets. So
that's right. So another thing is,
put your glasses back on, Professor.
Well, I don't know if my eyes are starting to go bad. I know they are a little bit, but these allergies are awful.
Well, I think we got enough wind over the last few days. There probably ain't no more cedar pollen left.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's what's got my eyes all messed up. So
hey, we never did read that list. Don't be turning it down.
I'm going to read this list. Okay, so I'm going to read you some phytoestrogens. If you're listening, hopefully you're listening and you pause or you write down and you go, I feed next level. I'm going to go out and look on my bag. I'm going to see how much is in there. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what's in there. I'm going to tell you the phytoestrogens in your dog food. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. No particular order here. Not alphabetical. And I'll tell you something else. Well, I'm not even going to go down that rabbit trail. But I did used to feed this, and I am going to publicly announce and say this, that I would have fed it a lot longer, but they basically fired me as a customer. And the reason that they did is because of the way that they distributed their dog food. And they pulled all their dog food out of the small farm home stores.
Yeah.
And it was hard to buy. I contacted a rep with Victor, and they basically told me in a nice way that they didn't give a crap whether I fed their dog food or not. And I said, hey, you don't even have to tell them. You don't have to hit around or beat around the bush. You don't have to say any more. This conversation's over. I never bought another bag of dog food, Victor, again. And I never will. So.
You better not call your current rep fussing like that. I was all I got.
Why's that?
Because you get the phone hung up on you.
Anyways, Victor Red Bag, 6 phytoestrogens. Brewer's dried yeast, carrot powder, mixed tocopherols. That's on your preserved with them. That's going to be right there at the top of your list. Grain sorghum, brewer's dried yeast. There's 6 in that one. Victor grain-free chicken meal sweet potato. There's 6 phytoestrogens in there. The second one is peas. Your first ingredient is chicken meal. Your second one's peas. The next one is Next Level Heroes Salute. And I don't know this history or because
You gonna have Brandon White calling us?
I don't care. The Next Level Heroes Salute. I love their bag. A beautiful bag.
It is.
Beautiful marketing bag.
I almost bought one just for the bag.
Yeah, that's great. 6 phytoestrogens, brown rice, Mahinden fish meal, chicken meal, brown rice. Again, chicken fat preserved with mixed tocopherols, grain sorghum, peas. 6 tocopherols. Next Level grain-free salmon river, 6 tocopherols. Value pack, black bag. Man, we got a lot of people feed value pack in this neck of the woods. It's pushed hard. A lot of people like it. Again, let's back up just a second. When you got me on to Extreme, and this is not an Extreme dog fuel podcast. We're not doing this pushing Extreme, but it does work for me. It works for you. You put me onto it, okay? When you put me onto it, I was skeptical. And I didn't feed it to everything.
Trust me, I know.
And you know how I'm real particular about what I feed my dogs.
I told Keith that several times.
And I feed them all. A lot of them get different amounts, and I was feeding 2 or 3 different dog foods at one time to 6 different dogs.
You fed that old cull you had out there in the pen, that Extreme, to see if it was going to die for you to feed it anything else.
I might have. We'll not talk about that. Moving right along here. Value pack, black bag, 2420. There's lots of guys that, and here we go, this is all opinions, but there's lots of guys that feed that and like it.
Mm-hmm.
I tried it years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get along with it. Maybe I didn't give it enough time. A lot of that could have been my fault.
You know
I'm being serious on these.
I'll say this, and I don't mind it because I've said this to other people. Not right prior to Extreme because I was trying to find something to feed, but feeding consistently like I feed Extreme now. You know what I was feeding prior?
What?
value pack black bag.
You were.
You know why I don't now?
Why?
I had a dog die, and the vet thinks it come from the dog food.
Okay.
I didn't have.
Well, that'd be enough to make me quit.
I didn't have a necropsy done or none of that, so
Yeah.
I can't confirm that that's what it was. But
I can tell you right now, anybody listening to this podcast, they know dang gun well we ain't got a dog food sponsor. But hey, it's just the way it is.
Hey,
it is what it is.
I will say this: there's a lot of guys, and when I had this happen to my dog, I started making phone calls. I called and talked to Wade Grasquith's son in Illinois at Joy and what's the other one?
What are you talking about? Joy and what?
They have another dog food. Whatever the other dog food company is they have, I can't think of it right off the top of my head now. But I called and talked to them about it, and a lot of the way these ingredients are put in, they say it matters the way that it's put into the dog feed. And I ain't saying Value Pack done it, because I'm like you. I know a ton of guys that feed that black bag of Value Pack, and they don't have any trouble with it. We'll have to find you another pen, unless you want to get one of those up there.
Yep.
Is that color crowned or pens?
I don't know. Are they usable?
Yeah.
They look pretty fancy.
Well, give it here. Don't tear it open. Good.
I'm not going to tear it open, but if I do open it, look like as many as there is in there, we'd have quite the pickup.
Get you a pink one.
No, just give me this one here.
But I know a lot of guys feed that, and they have good luck with it, and their dogs look good on it.
Perfect.
You just leave it sitting there till we get done. So I'm not knocking the dog food at all. I'm just telling you I'm not going to feed it because of the experience I had.
Well, have you ever on top, before we move on, since you brought this up and talking about it, it does make me think that, and it should make everybody think on dog food is why is it working for them? Just they think it's the best, and then you get it and it's the worst. And it don't matter whether it's this brand or what brand it is.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm going to hit on that in just a minute. And I can't explain it. I don't know why. And that might be a question we should have probably asked Keith. I should have put that on my list. So,
okay, how many?
I'm a hard sell. I'm not going to just up and just switch to something.
Oh, trust me, I know.
I don't even like sample stuff. I'm not about to give my dog a sample of it.
If I remember right, I brought a bag down and give it to you laying on the front porch because you wouldn't even try it.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was a red and black bag of Extreme, wasn't it?
It was 2618.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, of Extreme.
Oh, okay. I fed it for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to mention this one here last. That's where my pen quit working. We got to move along. People's gonna get bored. The Pride 2720. We just talked to Daniel. Them guys feed Pride. I don't know if they're having any problems with fertility issues or what. 4 phytoestrogens.
Well, I guess we'll find out because he said that I know on a podcast I heard him talk about he could not get echo bred to a stud dog, and that's the reason why he put that black and tan in with her. So if she don't take and have puppies, there may be something to it.
Okay. Well, maybe he'll listen to this podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
He can look at his ingredient list. We do have fly in here.
Yeah, you're about to make some folks real mad now, but go ahead.
Why?
With your next one.
Well, because this is our neck of the woods. This is what everybody likes, right?
This is the flavor of the month.
Joy Super Meal.
Yeah.
It's the best of the best, isn't it? Of their Joy, the Super Meal.
Yep.
4 phytoestrogens. Nothing different than the Pride. I haven't tried it. I can't say. I'm not going to say anything bad. I can't say anything good about it. I've tried it. But I can tell you this: that it's preserved with mixed tocopherols. Right there.
I fed Joy
2, 3, 4.
I fed Joy years ago. Years.
Dried brewer's yeast, pearl barley, oat groats.
And whenever I was going through from Value Pack to Extreme, that was one of the products I tried. And it wasn't that I didn't like it. I just ended up being able to get Extreme.
Moving right along. Extreme Dog Fuel. Pro Athlete 3020. I'm going to break your heart.
No, you ain't.
7 phytoestrogens.
Yep.
I was shocked. I'd like to ask him about that. I'd like to ask Keith about this and talk about it. Extreme Dog Fuel 2420. That's what I feed.
Yep.
I knew nothing. I'm going to tell you right now, when I first started feeding this, I didn't even know what phytoestrogen was. 3 phytoestrogens.
Yep.
Extreme Dog Fuel 2420. There may be something to that, and we're going to hit on what you talked about earlier today about the puppies, if you want to.
Yeah, I was going to when, but
Okay.
you go ahead.
And then, so Showtime 20. I tell you what, I about tried Showtime one time. I didn't. And I know I went on turkey hunt out in Kentucky, and this guy I saw he had shot. I said, "You feed that Showtime?" Oh, he said it's the best dog food I've ever fed. I thought.
What everybody says.
And he packing some good walker dogs. I mean, he hunts a lot of people.
I have a list. It's a short list, but I have a list of ones that I don't care if they say it makes them lay golden goose eggs. I will not feed it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. We're not talking about those though.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to get a flush.
Showtime. Yeah, are they multiplying here or what?
Crap if I know.
Showtime 2720, 5 phytoestrogens. You know what? I didn't count the black gold and the diamond.
Good. Not all this research.
Boy, I tell you what, I got another one here, hot topic. Dog food.
Yeah, you're fixing to really upset some folks.
Anyways, Sports Mix High Energy 2618. I fed that for a long time.
That's one on my
3, 4, 5 years.
That's one of the ones on my short list.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
3, surprisingly, 3 phytoestrogens. And also, the gentleman that I want to get on here to talk to was having problems with shortened heat cycles, no heat cycles, all kinds of issues trying to raise puppies, and switched to Sports Mix. And things turned around for him. And I don't know if that has anything to do with this being just 3 phytoestrogens compared to everything else or not. But this was one of the other deals that made me think. I knew nothing about that then when I switched. And that guy, and if we get him on here, I may be speaking out of turn, but I want to say that this stems back to 7 to 8 years ago. Long time he's had trouble. All right, here we go. I already mentioned those?
Yep.
Okay, that was the 3. Sports Mix, High Energy, 3 phytoestrogen, Extreme Dog Fuel, 2420. Inukshuk. Is that even how you pronounce it? I think it is.
Something like that.
Inukshuk Marine, 25. 4 phytoestrogens. Inukshuk 3025 High Energy Formula. 5 phytoestrogens. It says this Marine 25 contains grains of oats, barley, and brown rice. The same thing in the High Energy brown rice. No oats in that. Barley flour and flaxseed.
And here's the thing.
Dried brewer's yeast.
Especially with the Inukshuk that has been, it ain't just it. It's the selling point of every dog food out there for coon hunters is a Inukshuk. You can feed them this much and they can survive. That's all it takes to feed them, and it looks just like they did when I was feeding this other 2 or 3 cups worth. And that goes back to what Keith is going to talk about, the micronutrients. Yeah, you're feeding them that much, they can survive on the fat and protein, but they're missing out on everything else.
And from what you've told me, if you're listening, you're not going to want to miss the last podcast that we put out of Keith explaining that, because the way you explain it to me, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to something that I was just talking about a minute ago, and I was having trouble with a female getting pregnant.
Yeah.
Every litter that I've ever had with her in the past, she's always had a dead puppy. Every time I always had one dead puppy.
When this topic come up on the podcast with Keith, I didn't say anything because I wanted you to say it. But I remember us having this conversation.
Yeah, she's always had one dead puppy on every single litter.
How many times you bred her?
Except for her last litter. I don't know, 7, 8, 9 times. Quite a few.
Yeah.
And she's always had a dead puppy. I had to have a C-section one time. She had trouble one time. But anyways, I had a small litter, and I was debating whether to breed her the next time. So when I talked to my vet, I was telling him I said, how am I going from like 14 puppies to, having this, and then just this quick to nothing, hardly, 2 puppies or 3 or whatever. And it just didn't make no sense in my mind, and she was still fairly young. And the very first thing he said is, what kind of dog food are you feeding? Mm-hmm. And in my brain, I'm going, I wanted to say, what does that matter? You know what I mean? That's what a lot of people's thinking.
Yeah.
What does that matter, what kind of dog food I'm feeding? They ain't anything to do with this. And I said, I'm feeding her Purina Pro Plan Sport 30-20. And I'm going to say this. I've always fed her Purina Pro Plan Sport 30-20. And that was the only dog that I fed Purina Pro Plan Sport to.
Oh, I know, because she was last holdout on Extreme.
No, Loner was.
No, I thought she was.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're right. She was.
Yeah.
You're right. She was. Because she done so good on it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm feeding Purina Pro Plan Sport 30-20. And they don't sell that and advertise it in there, just so you know. And he said, well, your dog food probably ain't the problem. Because that's real low in phytoestrogens. And I said, low in what? And he said, phytoestrogens. I said, what's that? And he explained it to me, and he said, you can do a little research on it and look it up and read about it. And he said, it's one of the lowest, and it is, one phytoestrogen out of all them dog foods I've researched and I've talked about here right now. Mm-hmm. It's the lowest one. Second place to them would be Extreme Dog Fuel 24-20 Sports Mix High Energy 26-18 with three phytoestrogens. So, and I am going to say this, that she looked like $1 million. I've raised some of the best, fattest, slickest, healthiest puppies on it. And it cost a lot of money to raise a litter of puppies and feed that female Purina Pro Plan Sport. Mm-hmm. And I spent a lot of money on that dog food. I mean, I've spent a lot of money buying those. But they do so good. She done so good on it, milked so good on it, looked so good, and just had all kinds of milk. But then you brought to my attention about the one puppy, the last litter. I got off of that one when you got me over to Extreme Dog Fuel. Mm-hmm. And I tried it on everything, and I started liking it. I was like, you know what? This stuff probably is pretty good. And, well, let me back up. Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's go back to this Purina Pro Plan Sport. I was feeding Loner Sport Mix and everything else, and she was getting the Pro Plan Sport. And my wife said to me, she made a comment, she said, when are you going to put Loner on that really good dog food? And I said, when he earns it. Mm-hmm. He ain't getting that until he earns it. And it got to a point in his life where he earned it. And I thought, all right, I'm going to put him over on it. That thing looked like a gutted Holstein. I don't know what it is about it, but he did not do good on it. I don't know if it was he was having trouble with the transition, I didn't wait long enough, or what. But all I know is he looked horrible on it. I thought, there's no way. This don't make any sense. This stuff is so expensive. It's so high quality. Everybody brags about it being the best. I'm having great luck with it with my female here, okay? And then why not? Why would I not put him on it? Why would it not work? It should have worked. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't work. And I thought, well, I'm not feeding him enough, so I fed him more. It didn't work. Everything I tried with him didn't work. So I told my wife, I said, I can tell you one thing right now. I ain't spending that money on that high dollar dog food and spending that kind of money on that and feeding it to him. He looks like crap.
Yeah.
So I got him off of it. And I thought, well, I'm going to put him on this Extreme. And done great. Another thing that you can look into, I've done a little reading up on, is seed oils. I wanted to mention this earlier, so I'm just going to throw it in now. And I'm not going to talk about it a lot, but there's a lot of seed oils that's in this feed and stuff, and a lot of seed oils in the food that we eat. And that's another thing I was going to talk about too, is there's so much junk out there that's put in our food. And everybody talks about, and when you're talking about this dog food and stuff, and that you're wanting this high quality of dog food, I just wonder how much a bag of dog food would really cost if we got what we wanted. We probably wouldn't pay for it. Yeah. We probably wouldn't spend the money on it. Yeah. Because there's so much junk that we're being spoon-fed, that we're buying. We can go in there and look in our cabinets.
Hey.
Yours, mine, everybody's. There's a lot of
There might be
junk.
some Reese cups in there somewhere.
Probably is. And I like them, but I guarantee you they ain't good for us.
Yeah.
But anyway, seed oils are cheap. They're heavily government subsidized. They're toxic. They have a chemical base, and they're known to cause chronic inflammation. 100% seed oils. You can't argue with that with me on that. That's facts.
Wait, finish your story about the puppy thing. The star.
So when I on the star, so I've always had a dead puppy. I switched. I put her on extreme. I thought, you know what? I'm gonna raise a litter of puppies on it this time.
This was the last litter.
This was the last litter. She is older now, so I already know there's a chance she might have less puppies. There's a lot of variables in having
Right.
reduction of puppies in litters too. Now, we're not going to get into all that right now, but that was the first litter, and it's funny. It's just so bizarre that you'd brought that up and talked to me about that today, and you said that I didn't even realize it myself until you brought it to my attention. But I've had her on that for a year, probably.
Yeah, probably a year.
Or maybe a little more. And I thought, that's it. I'm not feeding this Pro Plan Sport no more. I'm gonna feed everything extreme because it's working good on everything else. Mm-hmm. Surely it'll work good on her. I'm gonna try it. So I tried it. It did. And that was the very first litter that she ever had that she didn't have a dead puppy. And no trouble.
And him saying that, we're not telling you to go out and feed extreme dog fuel. It is a good dog food.
Oh, it is.
And we both like it.
Hey, it's not convenient for me to buy. I have to get it from you. You're a pain in the butt. Have to try to get it from him.
Curtis Buckner feeds it. Chops feeds it. There's several guys feed it, and they like it. And I think it's a good dog food. It may not work for you. So please don't take this as we're pushing extreme. It's not that. This come from a conversation I had with Keith Dotson that you will hear some of that conversation on the podcast that I done with him after this airs. And you take all this information that we're going to put out here. All we're doing is, well, let me back up. All Brett's doing is he's researched all this. He's compiled all this into one spot where you don't have to go listen to this and read that, or read this and listen to that and listen to what they say down at the feed store. You can listen to this one podcast. You can write this information down, research it yourself, and make your own judgment on what dog food you want to feed. And if you don't want to change it all, then hey, we appreciate you listening.
Yeah. So we covered that, phytoestrogens. The next thing I'm going to hit on is, it's not really dog food brand commercial.
Right.
You know what? Before we do that, let's fill up our coffee cups.
Okay, well, let's take a break. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to the podcast. If you don't mind, head over to Facebook and give us a like, and head over to Instagram and give us a follow. It's both at the Coonhound Collective. Also, if you would like to reach us here at the Coonhound Collective, you can reach us at thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. If there's someone that you would like to hear on the podcast, or a product that you would like to hear talked about, please send it to thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great day.